98.4 Radio Moreeni, Tampere University, Finland.
Hi, welcome to Taidekohta. This week's program will be done in English because I'm sitting here with Kurdish author and teacher and Mr. Sherzad Hassan. Welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot, sir.
You told me that you see the world, you're not pessimistic, but you see the world as bloody and dark, and some people could say that's pessimistic. Why do you still say that you're positive?
I think I have full right to say that I am coming from the East, now torn into pieces, in the name of having each one or each nation or each tribe or each religious man small identities. This is for me it's catastrophe. Even if there are one child or one woman, one man, or even a fighter will be killed today, and I am sure every day there will be some people are killed, will be killed at least. So I know in my country or even in the East now there are so many hungry people. Really, they are hungry. They are very poor. So whenever the people will be unhappy, and we have bloody war, and in the name of small identity, killing each other, hating each other, as Jonathan Swift said before 200-300 years ago, here in the West, it was English, I think. He said we have so much religion to hate each other, but not that much to love each other. Really, we are living in such a situation now. I mean, even the ideologies in our countries, even we brought socialism from outside, or nationalism, we brought it outside. I mean, it comes always from the way, like train, like cars, like bridges. For example, in the beginning of 20th century, the English Empire came to Iraq and occupied even with Kurdistan, the north part of Iraq, the place I am living now in. They brought even the new education for us, or even you can say some kind, let us say, for infrastructure, some new social life. But when they went away, it was supposed that we can progress it or provide it, develop it. But after the European countries went away, or they went out, in a state of being together and help each other and build a new country, a new society, the nation started to kill each other, hate each other. And there were, in the name of modernity, everything came. By the way, we built new jails in our country. There wasn't any jail before 100 years or let us say 200 years. But when we could build buildings, we have jails with the mosques. Even some brothels were built in our country. So I'm not pessimistic. Even if you will be realistic in your country, they call you pessimistic. It is stupidity to be optimistic like that without any logic. So it doesn't mean I never come across any writer in my life, thinker, in the West even, saying that my nation is the best, my country is the best. Even now I read, or I am acquainted with some thinkers and writers, intellectuals in the West. They always criticize their societies. They are not happy. I am sure in Finland there are some writers, some intellectuals.
Yeah, of course. That's the means of developing.
Yeah, so what does it mean to be optimistic? How can I be optimistic if there is, even in Syria, 4 or 5 years of bloody war? And we have been, as Kurd, from Iran or from Turkey, from Iraq, we have a bloody conflict, a military conflict with the different regimes, more than 50 years past. So it means still we are quarreling for having autonomy, for example, or to write and read in Kurdish language. So how can I be happy with such kind of regimes? Or it doesn't mean I'm chauvinist. And as I told you in the beginning, before recording, I am a human being. I don't like to tell that I am Kurd or Israeli. I am a human that's like you. And my religion, new religion, is humanism. And as a writer, I can call my religion is humanism. So humanity is before the nation for me. First, I should be a human being, then I can be. So, but he says I am Muslim, but he is killing in the name of God. How can I be pessimistic when we have hundreds of versions of God in the East? Like versions of all this technology in computer you have it, or in mobile. Sometimes when they accuse me of being infidel or be unbeliever, whatever you say, I say, which version of God do you want me to worship? So it doesn't mean that it is only some people. It was coming from social. I mean, in literature, it was called socialist or realistic socialism, something like that. At that time, they always encouraging writers to be happy, optimistic, that there will be a paradise built in Soviet Union. But it wasn't like that after. So people were, I mean, those people who thought that they are optimistic in the politics, whether they were Marxists, leftists, whatever, I believe in socialism. And without socialism, we will end up with barbarism. There should be in Finland also, otherwise you won't be as happy as a young man. You will be pessimistic. No, you will be angry. I'm not pessimistic, I'm unhappy and angry. This is different.
Okay, that's where you make the difference. You said you have written tens of books, poetry and all that kind of. What made you to become an author? Why did you become an author?
I think first I started as so many of my friends. I started in the mosque to be a good Muslim in order to be a good guy, because my father was a simple policeman, a gambler, losing our money. And my mother, both of them, my parents were ignorant. But I said, why do you take me to mosque? She said, you should be a good man. Not like father to lose money, to be a gambler or drunk or alcoholic, whatever. Even maybe here people also think mothers like that, or fathers. They want their children to be addicted with drugs, alcohol, or narcotics or tobacco. Everybody in the world, they are worried about their children. My mother was like that. But I was in the mosque for 12 years, but reading the whole great philosophers of Islam. No need for names. If you wanted names, I will tell you. Some of them even were liberal or modern, or let us not modern, rational, like Ibn Rushd.
Yeah.
Even Ibn Rushd was from Andalus, from Spain. But at the same time, when I mastered Arabic language, at 14, I didn't need anyone to help me, because really I could throw those Arabic books, I mean those philosophers, or because we were occupied by Arabian regime, we started even with Arabic language. For example, in this primary stage, we started with Kurdish language. But when you reach intermediate after 12 years, you start with Arabic. Even in Turkey, they have to, called the language of the master.
Yeah, and isn't it because one Muslim has to know Quran in Arabic?
Of course, that's one point.
Yeah.
But educationally, you should be taught in your mother tongue, by all means.
Hmm?
It's if you are occupied, even if Finnish in the past was occupied by Sweden or by Russian, if you are taught in Russian now, you will be angry.
Yeah.
But maybe 200 years of 300 years, you are obliged to know, because it is the language of the master or the occupier or those people who conquered, whatever. But I was, as a human being, I couldn't have my childhood and even my youth, really. I suffered a lot because everything was haram, forbidden. Even I was in university, I couldn't look at girls because I was taught so much radical. I thought that it... But at the same time, when I mastered Arabic language, there were some Marxists at that time, those who are leftists around me. Once upon a time, I came across a novel by Émile Zola, a French writer, called Prey, P-R-E-Y.
Yeah, Prey.
Prey, yeah, P-R-E-Y. I read it in Arabic language because there were very few books really in Kurdish language to fascinate me, because even If you are occupied, so you have no right to write so much books or translate, and you are not the state, so you are occupied by a central government. So all things, even education, even ethics, even morality, even anything coming from them, even your food, even whatever, your schools, your bridges. But I was lucky because I started to read, to be acquainted with literature. And the literature wasn't fantasy and imagination. It was a real life for me. Because I could travel through books and new different things and new different society. And I began to start with Italian, with German, with all those great writers. And when I joined English department, I chose literature also. So I could save myself. And in Frankfurt exhibition for books, I gave a lecture. This was the title: "Literature is my salvation." Yeah, really, till now I'm still going on, not as a writer, but I'm also still reading at least good books in Arabic and English language. Of course, there are now become so many books in Orca. We have we're not that rich like Finland, but richer comparing to when I started when I was young. So I think it was by accident I was acknowledged with the well of literature, but really it saved my life. And to be frank with you, I left religion forever when I was 25 years.
So you're not religious?
No, totally not. But I am not against religion. As for me, for example, one of the key causes that I left religion was because the position of women in those books I read, or the thinkers among Islamic philosophers or thinkers, really it was very backward, a low position. And suddenly I was awakened. My mother is not, couldn't be, way they call it in Arabic language, ناقصات العقل والدين. It means they lack religion and even rationality. I think my mother was more rational than my father. Because she was not a gambler, not losing any money. And she was always caring about our life. And she took me to the school. By the way, my father was, he said, why he should be a carpenter, a blacksmith, whatever, any profession in the market. So why do you take him to the school? Her answer was like that: she shouldn't be blind like me and you. This was a sentence for me. My mother told my father, he shouldn't be blind like me and you. Really, my first teacher is my mother.
Yeah. Are you thankful to her?
I adore women. Generally, it's not this way. I think if women won't be free, the whole society won't be free. If the woman was shy, afraid of everything, ghosts and men, whatever you say, even they are afraid of themselves. Even they say, in our country, there are millions of women think that they are sinners because they are the daughters of Eve, who was addicted by the first sin. It's a legend, it's a story, it's a fantasy, whatever, but it is there in the holy books.
When did you realize this then?
I was only 20 years I realized this.
Yeah.
And I was angry with that religion telling me that women are less than me or I'm better than my sisters. But to be frank with you and honest, I was 25. I stopped everything with that tradition.
So it took like 5 years to...
At least 15 years of reading.
Yeah.
I started only 12 years and I started reading books in Arabic language. I started with philosophy, by the way, and philosophy lets you to think and doubt and question. It was very strange that I could say that at that time, everybody in the East, all the nations were happy with the socialism. Every young man should read, or woman should read, should know something about Marxism, socialism, whatever. And my generation were fascinated. We were fascinated by those thinkers in France and other countries like Jean-Paul Sartre, existentialism. What was existentialism for us? To be individual. And we are living in heredity. Herd is not heredity, tradition or herd. We could say it's like we were like sheep and goats, or we can say it collectivity. So there is no, even now in the East, the patriarchal system, socially or economic or politically, they are against individuality, because individuality means freedom. You can be a good citizen if you are not individual. To be a citizen, to be a member, a good member in society or a citizen, you should be individual first. Then comes to citizen. But I think we have no citizen because we have no individuality.
So,
And I started at 24 when I was young, 25, and really I was boasting that I am an individual. In Iran war, I was only 30 years old at that time. I think, yeah. I was the first guy in my city who said no for Iran-Iraq war. And I hid myself for more than 3 years without going to or joining that war. Because as a young man, you should join the military service and be one of the soldiers. And some of my friends were killed in Iraqi-Iran war. And why? I started to be individual, to say no to anything I don't like. I think this is also education. You should tell the children, or in a way, educate them to say yes when they want to say yes, and no when they want to say no.
is it easier to say no in Iraq nowadays, or
No,
harder?
in the whole it is dangerous to say no. One of the best lesson they will tell you, I'm in the patriarchal society because it's patriarchal. I think the first lesson is to confirm with the whole norms, social norms, all traditions, or rituals, or habituals. So they teach you to say no when they want to, the answer no. I mean, it's up to them to say. If you say no, I was 60 years old and I said no to my minister, and he sacked me out. What do you think? I'm a man of education, and a journalist, and a writer in my country. But I'm nobody for them, because they can order you to say yes. But I can say yes as they like, because I taught myself to say no whenever I want to say no. Yes.
So you were sacked for being too critical?
Yeah. No. It's for me. It is my right, and I pay the price. That's all, and I'm happy to pay that price. But I think I should be a model for others if it will be possible. Because some people say, but it's dangerous to say, even lose your job. Of course, you should risk, and if you don't risk that, or if you are not ready to pay the price, whatever, even some people will be dead because of their ideas, because they defend their own ideas. They have messages for the society, new messages. I think even in the West, there were caravans of martyrs in the world. If you number them, maybe there are thousands of them, in different fields. They said no, or they think their ideas, their messages were new, and they were criticized and hated even by their own families and societies. Maybe, I mean, they were venturing, but it's good to be how can I say, rebellion against all these traditional things or old values, old-fashioned values, you can say. So I'm not sad because of that. No, I'm sad that the whole culture is like that. And maybe some people won't be that brave to say no or yes when they want to say yes, or especially women. I'm sad because of millions of women. They have to follow, to conform with the society, with that religion, which thinks that hair is forbidden because it will be. It's stupid to think that you with bare heads, men will be sexually aroused. It's craziness.
Yeah.
It's craziness.
It's crazy, yeah.
Is there anyone in the 21st century think like that? He should be sexual maniac. He should be taken to hospital, to to a psychiatrist or someone to be treated medically, really. I don't think that he should be killed or jailed, but he should be treated medically because he's not normal. Like those got, physically sick, they will be taken to the hospital. So those men who think that women are the source of cuteness, like fitna they call it, they will bring chaos to the society if they will be having their dress that way, their hair that. I think those are really sexual maniacs for me.
So, Mr. Hassan, you're, fighting for women's rights.
Yeah.
Like, in 2000, the United Nations estimated that at least 5,000 women were victims of honor killings alone. But according to BBC, they suspect that more than 20,000 women are killed worldwide.
I think 20, maybe more than 20, because not all the numbers reach, mass media.
Yeah, and they're only the women who are killed. But honor violence is more than that.
I think, according to what I feel, what I see, what I guess, the number should be greater than that. Why? Because there is a code of silence in all families and all tribes and clans in our country. Even modern men believe in that, even. Because if someone was caught with adultery, let us say, or having a new relationship, if she is married or he is married, especially for women, or even sometimes maybe she will be caught with a love letter, let us say, or a strange name in her iPhone or mobile. All these things will be scandalous. Or he was with his lover or her lover in a park, for example, seen by someone, relative or brother or sister, maybe in that place and at that time, directly he or she or both of them will be killed. So, and because of code of silence, not all these stories, all these crimes will reach radios, TVs, or journalists can't catch with them. It's not easy to be in the spot at that time. So, if nobody were, even you have no right to interfere with that. I told you when we started that families still are very sacred in our societies. Whatever happens in the family, you have no right to go in. In Finnish, I know that there are millions of people in the name of Allah or God or religious or doctrine or customary laws or whatever. They rape their wives every night. But in most of the Western countries, you have no right to. Against her will, you can have making love with it. You have no right to make love with your wife. But I know there are millions of men doing that in our country. So how about adultery? They think that she will be sentenced to death. But I suspect that number. The last one you said 20,000. I think it should be multiplied by 2 at least. I think it is like that. Because I know there is a code of silence, very strict laws, even hidden ones, or agreement between the families, the members, but especially between the males, not female, between the male males, members of the families. Yeah.
How accepted is the honor violence in Eastern countries?
Of course, there are thousands of people are unhappy with that, and even you can find between religious men. They say because there should be at least 4 witnesses, but in Quran you can read that anyone caught with adultery, you have right as a religious man to lash her with 100 whips, and don't be merciful with them. Those people or criminals or whatever you say, they of course they will be regarded as criminals, or people not good people or not good Muslim. So I think if you don't when you reach maybe 50 whips, they will be dead. And beheading there some people, and stoning there is also, even
very brutal.
Yeah, they will be burned to death, some of them. I have numbers now about killing themselves. Sometimes if the family even the family are, those families, male members of the families are very clever. What do? They encourage the victim, especially female, who were caught with adultery, or they have love affair, or only maybe a love letter, or a strange name in her mobile. They try to advise her first. Maybe they will be merciful people sometimes, but most men are angry with that. They will be dishonored. So what do? They use all the techniques in order the victim will be ready to kill herself, burning to death, or throwing herself from high buildings, or even being poisoned.
Yeah, driving them to
or
suicide.
Pills, even pills, even cutting, slashing throats, even choked. Do you know the traditional way in our countries is killing her, choking her with pillow?
No, I'm not familiar
It's a
with
pillow, just a pillow. You are sleeping with the feathers of hens. We have it traditional pillow. So they put it on her mouth and she'll be choked, that's all. There are stories about that, songs about that, so many things. Yeah, I had a lecture just before 3 days in Helsinki. Most of them, they thought that these are like fantasies, some of this kind of, they are called modes of killing. Those who are accused of being committed adultery. But by all means, it is finally, this is my question. I think the number will be greater always than that. Why? Because everywhere it's known that there is a code of silence among all the families and clans and tribes. Even sometimes in the court, which is a new institute, a modern one, even men in that court may be sympathizing with those criminals, those who are called sexual murderers. But is there any honor in killing? There is no honor in killing. But it's called honor, and some feminists are radical ones are against this. They say it is shame killing, shameful killing, or femicide, or they call it homicide. It's killing human beings, whether it's male or female.
Yeah.
And sometimes they will be forced to have marriage. Even in the wedding party, they will be killed in a very strange way. There will be always men with guns. It's called shotgun wedding. Why? Where does this idiom come from? It is that they are happy, but it's a scenario, a drama, and suddenly they say by accident he will shoot one of, the bride and the groom also together, or one of them at least. Sometimes the woman. If the man who was committed in that, they call it another crime, if he is not ready or run away or he will hide himself, someone should be substitute of that guy. So in this case, he will be the victim. It is called the wedding, shotgun wedding, because finally he or she or both of them should be killed. And even the bride and the groom know that, both of them. But they have no other choice only to accept. Why? Because they dishonored the whole clan or tribe or family.
So, okay.
And in the courts, there are always two separate laws according to the gender of the perpetrator, of the criminal, or of the sexual murder. For a woman, it's another thing. For women are another. You can find another laws. Even the court is not got no justice with the case, with the issue.
You said that you referred to Quran, that it said that adulterers should be whipped with 100
At least
lashes.
100 whips.
Yeah. Do you believe that, Mr. Hassan, do you believe that religion can be part of a solution to abolish the honor violence?
It can be, because, for example, there is, the religious literature is always full of different or the contradictory things.
Yeah, like
for example,
conflicts are there all the time.
For example, there is also this kind of, in order to commit or to prove that someone committed adultery, there will be 4 witnesses. There will be 4 men. If there are not 4 men, 2 men equals 1 man. So it will be 8 women if there are no. I mean, if 2 men, the others will be women, there will be 4 women. It means at least 7 to 8 persons should be. And they should see the sexual intercourse very clearly. Not just
eyewitnesses.
Eyewitness.
Yeah.
And it is rare to find this kind of witnesses. It's impossible to some extent, because 2 lovers will do everything to be away from the eyes. They use all ways. I mean, it happens maybe. It happens, but very rarely. It's very scary to have such kind of scene or like that to be seen by 4 men at the same time, and there should be a real intercourse. Otherwise, if 3 of them say yes, the other said, I suspected, I didn't see that, maybe the other 3 should be punished by the judge. So it means, yes, religious men can do something, but religion as men, the patriarchal system is like that. You will be always happy and find the excuse to kill people because you are violent. I mean, it's misogynistic. We are brought up in a way as men to be misogynistic, haters of women. Really. This is the education of our people. If you, from very childhood, they call you Eve was the fairest sinner in the world. And those women are the daughters of Eve, the fairest sinner in the world. Otherwise, we couldn't be. We should be now. Supposedly, it was all our life will be should be in the sky and in the heaven. But who did the first sin? They say this is the interpretation of even coming from theology, maybe from the Old Testament. Most of the things you can find in the Old Testament, you can find in New Testament, you can find in Quran, but in different ways. But this kind of narration is there in Islam, that the Eve is Eve and Adam. But who seduced Adam? They say Eve. Who seduced Eve? The Satan. So Eve, the first mother of human beings, is the first sinner, and she is the partner of Satan.
Yeah, the one who fell.
Yeah, so
Satan.
This idea, this image, this narration, these stories will be embedded and implanted in your mind as a man. So you have an ugly image for women, even if you are your mother, your sister, you speak with them.
Yeah. So is it something that they have to learn away from? That you shouldn't interpret the religious texts like that, or
I think you can.
Other ways?
You can be. Yes, you can. If you have a modern man, why? What happened in the West? There was so much reform as related to Christian religion. Can it be in Islam? Yes, can it be? But most of the Muslims now. I mean, there is one. I worked in UNESCO. 6 years. I mean, UNICEF and UNESCO worked hard to have some reforms inside Saudi Arabia. But there is a school of in religion called Wahhabism. Wahhabism is they are believing in the
very strict,
very radical, and they believe in killing in the name of jihad. Jihad means fighting for God. So even they can have lots of this kind of rhetorical narration about this. But Saudi really makes business through this. Even they spent 10 years past more than $89 million.
Yeah, they have so much oil money and all.
They are rich. It's a rich country, really.
Yeah.
Even Iran is a rich country also. They are fighting or let us say, in a way, competing each other to have the Islamic world for them. Saudi wants to expand the area and to conquer other peoples, to make them Sunni, for example. The same Shia section sponsored or led by Iran. It is not tomorrow or yesterday or 100 years before. No, they have been like that more than thousands of years ago. So what do you think about this kind of, the whole really Islamic literature, concerning religion, they have thousands of those interpreters. Most of them are men. You can find a woman with them. So if the society is feudal and patriarchal, if these men of religious men who are interpreting Quran or anecdotes of Muhammad, if they are men, what do you think? Because of that, most radical, feminists in the world, even Arabian ones, when they doubt those even holy books, they say our position is like Nawar Saadawi. By the way, Nawar Saadawi says the first sinner against us is God himself, because he thinks that because of it, every woman can be like her, seduced by the Satan. And there are so many tales, stories, anecdotes, whatever. You can find it in the whole history. Like those women are brought like that, and they teach like that, and they educate people like that. Otherwise, why? ISIS fighters in Syria and in Iraq now, they rape women when they raped more, at least 2,000 Yazidis, because they think another religion. If you are not Muslim, they have infidels. Yeah. So, did that happen in the past before thousands of in the beginning of Islam? Yes, with the emergence, when Islam came in the 10 years first. In the starting with the 10 years, you can find so many tolerance, peaceful tales, but when Islam became stronger. By the way, Muhammad was a teacher and at the same time a military man.
Yeah.
He started the wars. This is the problem that if this history is wrong, you should correct me. You should do another thing. But ISIS fighters, they say we have this holy book and telling us we should fight for God. Not even in an Arabian country, Islamic country, they say there are so many infidels there, like Yazidis. But they won't. There is a tale in Quran, they say, the whole world should be inherited by you good Muslims. You are good Muslims. So they think that even Finland is their own land because it's God's land, not Finnish land.
Yeah. I looked up the honorary violence history in Europe, and it's also familiar it was in the Roman Empire they had laws that permitted murder of daughters and their lovers and adulterous wives. But also
in the East Hammurabi.
Yeah.
Before 4,000 years ago.
Yeah. And also so late that in 1810 the Napoleonic Code had permitted the murders of unfaithful wife and her lover and at the hand of the husband, and it was abolished only in 1975. So it's not that unfamiliar to Europeans, but I mean in Europe honor violence is not that, it's not approved anymore. Do you think that there will be the same hundreds of years of progression until the East can probably get rid of it?
There are so many fighters, female and male, in the East, really. You can say, among intellectuals, maybe I can't count them because there is no number for it. Nobody told me that Sherzad is number 1 or number 10 or number 1,000 fighters or intellectuals, thinkers, writers, female and male, they are working for that. But the hegemony of the mosques and the failure of modernity and the failure of education after the Western colonialists went away, it means we are really, as you told your audience that, or people listening to us, that's really it's dark scene, because nobody is ready to have any reform in that religion. Most of them, they like it. Why? Because there is no critical. It's coming from divine law. So they think these books and the tales of Muhammad and Quran, everything is like that. In those books, you can find different contradictory even situations, ideas, values. But if you are brought up in a patriarchal society, as a man hating women, suspecting women, and all these tales tell to you when you are very small, and nothing in new education telling you anything. And we have social science, we have natural science, but in the universities it is called the banco information. We memorize them. I mean, in our schools, when we are graduated from university, we haven't such critical thinking to judge everything in our social life, political life, religious life. So I'm pessimistic or I'm angry or unhappy or doubting about this because I know UNESCO and UNICEF, even British Council were there for a while. They started those different NGOs, and UN itself was there for more than 10 to 15 years after the toppling down of Saddam Hussein. But by all means, there is no a real will, political or religious, to change the world. I mean, I am suspecting the reformation in our country. So I think what happened, I told you in the beginning, all the factors in different fields in life and science and religion changed the West. There is no factors like that until now in the East. This is the main catastrophe or main dilemma.
Is this perhaps the beginning of a greater revolution? I mean, your work in UNESCO to abolish these things, and you give lectures in
Of
Iraq.
course, but we tried our best.
Yeah.
But as I told you, USA failed with Saudi Arabia. With all Islamic countries failed they. Still they are trying to do that. But the door are closed. And it is it's not a wooden door. It is made from steel. And it's a castle, like the castle of those kings, with thick and high wall. The whole is for me is a castle with thick and high walls and steel doors, and the key is with them, not with us. This is the main problem. If it's a metaphor for me.
Yeah. Okay.
So because of that, I say it's not that I worked in education. I know that the worst education we have in the East now. You can't find any country. All universities in the rating, international rating are raging. We are behind. Some of them out of the number. I mean, for example, in my city, there is a university, Suleiman University, is number 11 after 11,000 we can. It means we are nobody. We have no education. We have no university. Those modern institutions we brought it from the West, they are not progressing themselves, not developing. They are still stuck in the beginning of 20th century.
Because of no critical thinking about.
Of course, because of so many other things. Because you have also an Indian meditator says, we should have a new child and we should educate those children in a new way. And he says they should be the owner of their own yeses and nos, as we said in the beginning. And easily you can say education is the art of love and living and love. We have no love, we hate each other, and we don't know how to live. And even I suspect the whole world, by the way. I think the human being generally, or I can count them, the only creature in the world, they don't know how to live. We spoiled and polluted air, earth, and even water. No animal did that. We did that.
Yeah,
it's the problem of environment in the West. You know this.
Yeah, of course.
Now even all schools, educationalists are busy with that. They want to teach those who are coming to kindergarten today. They want to teach them really it's dangerous. This beautiful star will be extinguished one day. Like a fire extinguished there by someone. So it's done by us, not by tigers, by donkeys, by bears. No, it's done by human beings. So being frank with you, I am pessimistic again. I mean, when read the history in the West. Do you know in the course of investigation or examination or what you can in the medieval age, one of the monks English was happy that he burned thousands of women because there was a kind called hunting witches at that time.
Oh yeah, in the medieval.
Before 1,000 years ago, let's say about 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So at that time, in the name of God, they even the woman should be naked, and if there is any even
mole
or whatever.
Any imperfection.
Every human got something somewhere in her body.
Something wrong.
So they say, okay, this is the kiss. So the Satan kissed you, so you should be killed. And it was called hunting the witches. So the whole country became witches. But it wasn't like that, because there was a man who hates women. And those men thinks that really they are the source of all catastrophe. And this is phobia of sex called. Even in Islamic culture now, the ISIS is against songs, music, sculpture, statues, plastic art, even colors. You see black everything in the world. At the era of Saddam Hussein, Baghdad was. I was a student in university. Baghdad was colorful. Now Baghdad is black and gray.
And before the recording, you said that religion divides society into small pieces, but culture, it unites.
Of course,
people.
Yeah. I think I like arts and literature or culture. I mean, by culture I mean really art and literature, because it is like banquet. We are being gathering around it. So, but it's not me telling that. Great thinkers taught me that. It's not Sherzad. I could be happy because I knew that sentence from great writers in the world, thinkers, philosophers. You know, Arabian and Islamic culture for more than, go back to 6 centuries before. They only happy with 2 things when the first contact came between the East and the West. They only wanted the weapons and medicine. But go to music, they didn't want it. They don't like that. Go to other technology, they didn't want that. They only warfare technology. And medicine to live long. For what? Nobody knows. For killing.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. Why do you want it to be to have a long age?
Longer life, yeah.
And by the way, ISIS fighters, they are against all brothels and women. They say it's the West, it's the of prostitutes and fiddles. But 50 million people from Islamic countries coming to this world. If it is the land of infidels, why do you come to Finland and to Germany, to Switzerland? Why do you come to these countries? What hypocrisy is this? What a big lie with it. Why don't you go to Kaaba, to near Muhammad's shrine? Why don't you go there? We have those, even Muslim, when they are, even those who are got leaders, I mean religious leaders, when they are oppressed, they come to the West also. Why don't you go to Qatar, to Bahrain, to Arabian world? Most of them are rich, like Libya, Saudi, Kuwait. Why don't you go there?
Me?
No, I mean those Muslim people.
The Muslim people, yeah.
And they come to the West. It's hypocrisy. It's a big lie.
Yeah.
And they say it's the land of infidels. And at the same time, they are against all kinds of love. Only should be formal. Okay. But you know, in the West there are thousands of, at least tens of kinds of, among human beings. It's free will. But why do, it is the tragedy. Women are so weak. They can't, out of love, convince women with them. So in the name of women should be obedient to men. This is catastrophe. And the paradise for us is full of female angels.
Well, I really hope your work pays off, because I think it will define the future of mankind and also the East. But Sherzad Hassan, our time is up.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this interview. The time went by like fast.
I wasn't that good, but by all means I tried to give you an image about that, what I am feeling at least. But doesn't mean truth is with me. You should have other people also to say something. Maybe they have different way of point of view, different images, maybe better than me. I don't know, but I know that we will continue the bloody life if we have no reforms in all institutions, social and religious and political.
Thank you. This was Taidekohta with Sherzad Hassan, and until next time, my name is Tuomo Hyttinen.
98.4 Radio Moreeni, Tampere University, Finland.